Yo, my name is Mr. Liff.
And I'm Akrobatik. We're the Perceptionists.
And we're representing Hip Hop Made Me Do It.
With DJ Toasty Z.
Everybody shout, hose down, hose down. If you getting too hot, too loud, or we're down now. Hey, 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 whoa.
DJ Toasty Z, you already know, Hip Hop Made Me Do It. We're live with the legendary Akrobatik and Mr. Lift, the Perceptionists. How's it going?
Chilling, bro.
Chilling, doing very well. Thank you for your kind words on the intro.
Of course.
Just so everyone out there in listening land knows, we paid him $50 to say that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
He's on a cash retainer.
Wait, you gave him 52?
Yeah. So he
got
grossed $100
got 100
to
for
say
that.
those nice things about us on the intro.
No doubt. That's what makes us legends.
For sure. And like I said, we're out in Hawks and Reed in Greenfield. I'm curious, have you guys ever been out to Greenfield for a show?
My first time.
Actually, this is my first time. I didn't know about Greenfield before 2018, and it quickly shot up one of my favorite places in Massachusetts list. You know, just off the energy in the room tonight.
Yeah. I concur. Is that the correct usage of concur? Yes. Yeah. I agree firmly.
You echo my sentiments.
I echo his sentiments. Thanks.
What he said.
For sure.
Yo, it's like 2 a.m.
It is. It's all right. I had a cup of coffee. I'm feeling alive now. Yeah. So, if you had to say, like, who are the Perceptionists?
I would say that the Perceptionists are just the manifestation of two people who were born at the tipping point of to me the greatest aspect of American culture, and which is hip hop, and developed a friendship. We met at like almost basically fresh out of high school. I mean, just a couple of years out of high school, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, we've been rocking with each other for a long time, and we're just two people who feel as though there is a lot that we can bring to music and to hip hop in general. I think that our perspective just on life in general, and the dialogue between us in our art, just puts us in a position where we feel needed. We feel needed in hip hop, you know what I'm saying? And the fans say that too. And so I just think that we are the Perceptionists, and we're a group that's needed, and we have a message that needs to be heard. And we also just love to have a lot of fun, and we just,
Could I add on?
Please. I'm going to say 50 more things about it.
Wait, hold up.
It's just the Akrobatik here.
I'm going to add on. I just, Raekwon, I channeled the spirit away.
Oh, no doubt.
Anyway, we're Tip and Fife, but we're both Tip. You know what I'm saying? We are, we are like Eric Sermon and Paris Smith. These are the spirits of the things that we channel, when we're making our music. The eclectic nature, or like Ak and I were talking about how we got this odd couple thing going on, almost like it's like Andre 3000 and Big Boy. It's just like all these things, like these predecessors, these magnificent predecessors that have come before us. Like we're channeling the spirit of that. I don't even know what to say. It's just like that mystic, beautiful hip hop shit that influenced us, that made us want to listen to hip hop, that we adopted it as a lifestyle, as a culture. That's what we're breathing into music, and it's coming out in our own interpretation to infuse a new generation of listeners with that energy and to keep the tradition of this type of hip hop moving forward.
Absolutely. There you go. You didn't even need to ask me. I'm like,
No,
man. And you guys came up in the Boston scene, and what I find interesting is Boston's not necessarily traditionally known for its hip hop. So I'm curious, like, what was it like coming up in Boston?
Well, I mean, for me, it was dope. I mean, I had the opportunity to like grow up in the Boston public school system, and then also transition into like private schools. So I kind of saw the best of both worlds. I knew what it was like to struggle, and I also knew what it was like to be around privilege and get the educational tools that you need to kind of move on in life. So that led me to just like being able to go to recording studios. I just made a lot of connections with a lot of cool people while I was growing up, and just got to live hip hop, man. It's like it's just a lifestyle, and I think personally, if you look at Boston's hip hop history, it's very rich. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
It might not be a situation where the whole world knows everybody from Boston, but on a cultural level, versus on an industry level, on a cultural level, I would say Boston is like a top 10 city in the world for hip hop artists.
It definitely gets overlooked, not so much anymore, but
yeah, exactly. And I just think that one of the beautiful things that when we were coming up, the talk was always New York driven. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, people saying you can't make it from Boston. You got to move to New York or some other. LA wasn't even in the conversation at the time. It really was just New York. But the thing is that New York's such a competitive market, right? But in Boston, you had access to like. You could, go to like the number one studio. Like we were going to, what was it, Backpack Productions back in the day, where Papa D was. Like Boston offered you the culture. There were a lot of hungry MCs with a lot to prove, because we're like, no, we're not New York. We're our own shit. But it wasn't as competitive. Like you could all get together, all of us. You know what I'm saying?
Like with the Newberry freestyle tapes back in the day, when all the MCs just got together and recorded freestyles. You know what I mean?
Yup.
And then that it was an opportunity for everybody to just get together and kind of bond and see just how many other people there were around that were nice, and like all the different neighborhoods that we came from, and we all really kind of rose up as a movement. So that, to me, that is really what hip hop is. So we took full advantage of that. We lived through an era that turned into a lot of people having careers that we'll maybe be able to just, stay with for our whole lives. So,
no doubt.
Yeah.
For sure. And like I said, the hip hop scene has in Boston and Massachusetts on a larger scale has gotten a lot more attention. You have acts like Cousin Stiz, who has, mainstream attention and success, and kids like Token and Joyner Lucas. I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are on the new generation of, Boston and Massachusetts hip hop.
You want to take that?
I have just long ago decided to take an approach where I welcome it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more likely to just observe and learn from people when I don't have. I'm pretty consistently willing to absolutely explode my own paradigms and just take in new information. So, I could stand to learn more about, I have a tendency to also kind of get caught up in my own bubble where I'm just such a studio rat where I'm so busy trying to create new songs that so I know of the artists that you spoke of, but I feel like I need to sink deeper into their catalogs as well. But genuinely, I love to hear what like the new cats coming up are doing. It's always interesting.
I mean, for me, man, like I kind of with music, I just deal with it on a song by song basis. Like, I like a song or I don't. You know
for
what
sure.
I mean? And so because of that, I don't really think that I have like a playlist where it's just like, these are artists from Boston, and I'm just listening to a playlist. But what I will say is that because we all operate kind of on the same platforms of like promotion and marketing and things like that, and getting the word out to people, that has opened my eyes to a lot of the younger artists, because that seems to be where a lot of their talents are, aside from rhyming. Like for me, when I was coming up, it was like I rhymed, but I also made beats. So I made my beats. But now these younger cats are coming up and like they rhyme, but then like they're marketing wizards. You know what I'm saying? They have figured out how to get their Instagram up to like 100,000 followers before they've even been on tour. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So like I remember meeting Token when he was like 15 years old, and him looking at me like, wow, it's really nice to meet you, and I'm just starting off doing my thing. And I heard him and he was nice, and then I saw him like a year later on something where it was just like he had like 1.5 million views on that, you know what I mean? And then I ended up seeing like his video work and hearing that he actually like wrote his video treatments and like directs his own videos. That's amazing. You know what I'm saying? So like dudes like him, like Cousin Stiz got a jam on NBA 2K18. You know what I mean? So to me, it's always cool. It's like, I remember being like one of the first cats from Boston along with this guy to like get a song on a video game, and I remember how that felt. So like I kind of get to see it again with like cats that are around the way, and seeing them achieve that, I feel good for them when I see that. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I think that there's a lot of talent, and Boston's hip hop future is going to be really cool.
Yeah, and I think I just think it's really cool to see that Boston's like, you know, it's always had that, you know, history and that underground history, but it's nice to see that finally on the map and getting exposure, and you know, especially with, like I said, you talked about social media and like the impact of that and being able to understand that, and like I think of like the Joyner Lucas music video, like the I'm Not Racist video that blew up, and like you know,
yeah. I played that for my class, teach a hip hop class at UMass, and we like studied it and broke it down.
For sure.
Every time I look back at it, the numbers are just going up.
Yeah.
And 42 million.
Really interesting. Project that he did there.
Yeah, for sure. And I was actually going to ask you about that. I was curious, like, what kind of things do you teach in your hip hop classes?
Well, right now, the class that I teach, you know, with college, it's like you have a syllabus that you pretty much stick to. But we teach from a text that takes excerpts from many different sources, but it's basically teaching the history, giving the origin story. You know, we take them back to, like, you know, Fort Apache, the Bronx. Like, take a look at the Bronx right at that moment, right before hip hop burst onto the scene. And now let's look at, you know, Kool Herc and what he was doing, and let's talk about like Sha Rock and Roxanne Shante and the first female MCs to do it. And you know, so we have like a unit on women in hip hop, and we watch documentaries. We had a unit on sampling where we analyzed like the sampling laws and how that has changed hip hop, you know, and like listen to like Chuck D speak. We've even had Chuck D has interviewed with my students via Skype. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
We've had some fun. Dutch Rebel, who was another young artist from Boston who's on our new album, she came to my class in person and talked to the students. They love that, especially the female students, man. It's just, it creates a lot of opportunities for me to make this all make sense to people who are born into it in this state that it's in.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? Yeah.
And you guys came up in the Def Jux days, and you know, I think looking back, you kind of realize how much, you know, you guys were pioneers in this kind of weirdo underground rap. You know, you have guys, you have people like A$AP Rock, you know, Del, you know, LP, who now is getting. What's amazing to see is he's always had that respect in the game and that underground success.
I would like to shout out Cannibal Ox. Also, Cannibal Ox, I feel like we're definitely part of the pioneer.
Yeah,
for sure.
Crew for that.
For
you know
sure.
what I mean? We were listening to some Cannibal Ox today, so it made me think of that.
Yeah. Didn't mean to leave anyone
No.
No,
What are you saying about
man.
LP though, too?
Yeah. Well, I was just saying, like, I got first exposed to him with like his Cancer for Cure and the album he did with the first album he did with Killer Mike, where he produced it.
Yeah.
And it's really dope to see that now him and Killer Mike, so late in their careers, have had a resurgence, and well, not even a resurgence, but they've taken it to a whole new level and now have huge mainstream. And I think that's really unheard of in at least this late in someone's career, to be like grinding for that long, always have the respect, and then all of a sudden just shoot up, you know? So
amazing.
Very true.
I'm very happy for those guys.
yeah,
Definitely.
it's awesome to see. So I guess my question surrounding that was, at the time, did you fully realize how influential and like special what you guys were doing?
I mean, when I met LP a long time ago, 20 years ago, I knew that what he was doing was remarkable. Because, I mean, it's like, you know, he's really one of, I mean, I would say, like, for me, it was Company Flow and J Live that kicked open the doors on the independent hip-hop industry. So, you know, it's like I had listened to the Fun Crusher Plus album by LP. We're talking, like, you know, that record came out in, like, the mid to late 90s, and I met L in 98, and it's just like I already knew he was, you know, he was a genius. What he was doing was groundbreaking. So it's just one of those things where I knew that I could see everyone was so unique. You know what I'm saying? Like when he started Def Jux, when it came to my involvement in Def Jux, it was such a casual thing. It was like I was sitting around with my managers and we were just like looking for a label, and there were a couple that we were considering. And L, I think, just heard that we were shopping for a label, and he was like, yo, I'm starting a label. Like, let me put out Enters the Colossus. Yeah. It was really that casual. Yeah. I just remember turning to my manager and be like, well, I mean, L's obviously done great stuff already. He did the Fun Crusher Plus album. He signed with Rawkus. Like, I don't know anything about him being a CEO of a label, but eventually we were just like, all right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just like within the next organically. And then it's just like next thing I know, I'm like, oh, who are these Cannibal Ox kids? And then, a year after that, it's like, okay, who's this kid Aesop Rock? Who's this kid RJD2? Yeah. And then eventually this all grows, into like, Perceptionists being involved with the label and everything like that. But it's just like
we're all on a tour bus.
Yeah, exactly. But L's been a visionary since day one, and it was evident how special it was, especially because the way that the world took to it was a special experience to be a part of. So yeah.
Sure. And you guys just this year put out your second album after 12 years. Yep.
Got around to it.
And I guess my question is like, what does it mean for you guys to like be able to actually link up and link back up and make that happen?
I mean, for me, it's everything. You know what I mean? Like I am. Definitely, I guess I've been known as primarily a soloist for most of the time. I've been a rapper, but I really enjoy, having someone that I can write songs with. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Someone that I can get input from on my part of the song. You know what I mean? It's not just this thing where I just go in and I jump in. You know that line when Rakim's just like, when I'm writing, I'm trapped in between the lines, I escape when I finish the rhyme. Yep. Like for me, it's like, that's how I feel. But Lift allows me to kind of step back and just kind of also just watch the process of the song becoming a song. And that there's so much fun in that. And then when you bring it to the stage, it's just like a magical thing. You know what I mean? So I just enjoy being, part of, excuse me. Part of something that's bigger than just me.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? That is a great feeling. And then, taking that out and then just going and connecting with people around the world and then making that your life's work. You know what I mean? Like I've literally been able to live my dreams through the Perceptionist vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to think that there could potentially be who knows how much more. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, the group means a lot to me.
To me too. I echo all of Ak's sentiments, but I just think that the studio is, I think, so central to what we do now. Yeah. And it's just been this long process of evolution from I don't even know what, I mean, it was us making demos. I mean, we've been making demos for this album since 2009, 2010.
It's in the making for a while.
It was just these starts and then these stops. It's like okay, we started bouncing around some ideas, but at the time I was living in Philly. And I just wasn't that inspired. It fizzled out. Then it's I come back to Boston, we're bouncing around some ideas, then my studio gets flooded and I lose all my equipment, And then it's just I'm sending ideas back and forth with Ak, maybe in 2012 or early 2013. Right. And I send him this demo and he can't even make out what I'm saying. He literally, his response was he's like, I can't make out all the words that you're saying, but I get the gist of it. And when he said that, I literally had I don't even know just one of these moments where you're just enough is a fucking enough. I was yo, I'm rebuilding my studio. I can't be sending demos to my boy and he can't understand what I'm saying because my mic is a piece of shit and I don't even have a fucking interface that works. You know, so that started this whole tier where 4 years later we have a great facility where we're able to just be us, man. Without there's no we're not sitting here oh shit, there's $60 an hour, we better fucking hurry up and get out of here. We just get to go in there and just do what we do.
Just create.
And then as an engineer, I get to just enjoy listening to Ak writes his verses and he comes in, he's a natural. I get the joy of actually recording him too, so I get to enjoy the group from all these different angles now. It's I'm in the group, I write, I record as well, but I'm also get to be the engineer and enjoy what he does and then make sure that it all sounds the way that we want it to sound. So it's the group is life-giving,
Awesome.
It is. Yeah.
Awesome. And let's see, I think I have one last question. I would just say that you guys as OGs in this game, if you had to give one piece of advice to a young cat trying to make it, or what would that be?
Wow, man. I think that the advice that I would give from the heart, you know, would probably be something along the lines of just like, keep in mind why you're doing what you do. You know what I mean? If you're doing if you're in hip hop or making hip hop music because you want to be famous and that's your primary goal, I would say maybe try to be famous doing something else. If you're doing it because it's just something that is naturally a part of your lifestyle and just comes to you, and it's something that you have passion for. You know what I mean? It's like if you don't have the passion for it, just stay out. There's too many people doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But other than that, I think I'm on Lift's side of things where it's just like I'm so open-minded that like I welcome the thought of anybody coming out and doing anything.
For sure.
I didn't know there could be an old dirty bastard until I saw it.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know what I mean? So I don't want to try to suppress anyone. I'm just saying that I think that our young kids are just constantly bombarded with the idea that like just having attention and having people seeing you is equivalent to some level of success.
Yeah, or being happy, you know?
And the higher up you climb before you find out that that's a lie, the harder it hurts when you fall down.
Yeah. And I would just add on just saying, you know, kind of echoing those sentiments, but also just saying what you do has to come from the heart, man.
Yeah.
And you have to have, I think you just have to, especially nowadays is these times are particularly welcoming to a fuck it mentality. Like just go for it. Like whatever it is that you are, just have the most fucking like flamboyant artistic expression of yourself.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because like it feels like more so than ever, music's almost like in this anything goes phase where like, you know, like you can I think people like the open-mindedness is like it's not just a unique place that Ak and I happen to arrive at as individuals. I think it's kind of the calling of these times. And I don't know if, I mean, there's so many things that we could analyze going into it, but I just think you have to just fucking go for it.
Yeah.
Just
do it.
be as you can be.
Yeah.
As long as the music comes from the heart, you probably won't have any regrets. If you're out there bullshit and trying to be something that you're not, it's gonna lead you to a world of fucking pain.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And that's
There it is.
there it is. I don't know what I was trying to say there.
Yeah.
Once again, thanks so much. I really appreciate you guys sitting down with me. Went a bit longer than expected because you guys have, come with the eloquent answers.
The
length. No, not that. No.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Slicing grills in your co-op. If you want to be a doctor when you grow up, you better study all the right lessons. This is a tough profession. I will leave you with just one question. That the lyrical surgeon got shit so